The union between white men with power and Black women with education is what America actually needs in order to finally heal. And the only obstacle standing in the way of this union is the beauty standard. And when you think about it and look at the media basically polarizes white men and Black women to be on opposite ends of the political spectrum and the social hierarchy.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna try to get through this. First of all, I have yet to see white men go this hard for Black women. I meet countless Black women who are building a case. They're building a historical case. They are building a political case. They're building a moral case. They're building a socioeconomic case as to why swirling or interracial relationships is the way up or way out for America, or just for Black women collectively, or just for mankind. I've yet to see white men take this stance. I have yet to see white men go this hard in the paint for the same idea. It's only Black women I see doing this. I don't see the collective of white men coming together, banding together, creating whole movements to talk about why their intermarriage with Black women is what they need to heal their communities and their country. If anything, I actually kind of see the opposite. I definitely see a resurgence of white supremacy as the white population globally, not just in America, but globally, is declining. You are seeing a resurgence of a desire for white dominance. You're seeing a resurgence even for imperialism, and you are seeing a concerted effort to try to make sure that there are more white babies. So like when I see this stuff, I'm like I laugh, because I'm like, what is going on to where Black women are going so hard in the paint? Like, they are staking their claim into a group of men who have not shown collectively in any way, shape, or form that they're really interested. Like, what is causing this? It's very fascinating to me, honestly. And you know what else is really interesting? She mentioned that the beauty standard is the thing getting in the way of Black women and white men, like, getting together and running off in the sunset with tulips. Okay, fine. Let's just assume what you said is true. Well, who created the beauty standard in the West? In a Western society, in a European society set up by Europeans, by their ancestors, for the descendants, who is responsible for the beauty standard? I mean, so it wasn't Black men. Black men are not responsible for the Western beauty standard. Certainly wasn't Black women. Who created the nation? Who established the laws? Who manages the laws? Even to this day, which she acknowledges, which is why she wants Black women to get with them, because they hold the seat of power in Western societies. It's white folks. So she's talking about this beauty standard as if it's getting away, while forgetting to acknowledge that white people are the ones who actually maintain the beauty standard in the West. Or they're the ones that set up the Eurocentric beauty standard that a lot of women, actually Black women in particular, complain about. So I'm like, I'm trying to follow this logic, but I actually, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm like, why is there a collective of Black women who are so invested in trying to convince themselves and other people that they should get with white men, when white men collectively are not interested? Yeah, there's a few here and there, but I'm like, the collective of white men are not banding together with these ladies to build a political alliance at all. I mean, white men and Black women are politically misaligned. And she makes it seem like it's a media thing, and it's like, no, that's just very much the real voting patterns. Black women and Black men are actually the most politically aligned when you look at the voting patterns. That's not media. That's just what happens. So I'm trying to follow this, but I'm like, wow, this logic is fascinating.
And in actuality, these are the two groups in America that are the backbone of this country. And so when we bring these two groups together, we can actually see reparations happen in a way that's more organic and natural.
So she thinks that the descendants of slaves and the descendants of slave owners getting together is going to be the solution to reparations. You know, another thing that I find fascinating about a lot of these swirler theories is that they're always completely disconnected from any historical understanding. Because this is probably a woman who doesn't understand that swirling as a political movement has already been tested and tried for centuries. And swirling as a political movement actually resulted in the enslavement of her ancestors. I broke this down in a live about a month ago, where I talked about the history of swirling, and how if you actually look at how the transatlantic slave trade was able to prosper and how it grew, it was through the collaboration of very specific African women who married European settlers. And then basically those African women gave those European settlers access to their countries, to their nation, to their people. And that's how slavery grew. Those Europeans, they didn't know how to navigate the African terrain. They didn't understand that climate. That wasn't their natural habitat. So they relied upon African women oftentimes to give them access to the community, to help them understand the culture, and then to ultimately give them access to what would soon become African bodies. That's literally how the transatlantic slave trade became what it was today. It was because of these collaborators. I wanted to be clear, it wasn't like the entire continent. There is this misconception that like the entire continent was in cahoots, which is not true. It was a small percentage of collaborators. Nevertheless, those collaborators, oftentimes through interracial marriage, is what led to where we're at today. You know what I mean? So this whole theory of political alliance to try to liberate Black folks, it's been tested and tried, and it's failed miserably. Like I said, it resulted in slavery, and it resulted in colonization in a lot of African nations. So swirling as a political strategy does not have a good reputation, which is why when I see women try to push this as something both new and liberating, I'm like, you can't understand history, because history alone would just completely dismantle this whole idea of this being like the answer from God for the collective of Black folks and people around the world. Like, this is a fantasy, you guys.
And this is part of the reason why I'm not pro-Black, I'm pro-Black woman. Not to say that I don't love Black men, I do. But I think that when we as Black women who are educated date outside of our race, we open ourselves up to the opportunity of actually receiving things like asset ownership, land, and property. So the question becomes, how do we fight against the beauty standard and, position ourselves as women in these spaces where we can actually receive partnership that repairs our communities?
So basically what she's advocating for is, how do you assimilate into the current system while trying to rebuild the communities that are oppressed by the same system? And that it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work at all. Like I don't like, if the very nature of you assimilating into a other culture is you taking on their characteristics, is you taking on their likeness, their values, their point of view, their politics, and that is historically antithetical to the lower caste, right? Which would be Black folks, would be Black Americans. The core issue that I also have with swirling and these kinds of ideas that see swirling as the way forward for Black liberation is that these ladies don't even believe in procreating Black babies. So it's like, how pro-Black are you really if you actually don't even believe in procreating Black girls or boys for that matter? She sat there and said, oh, I'm not pro-Black, I'm pro-Black woman. Well, how do Black women get here? How do they get here? They get here through a Black man and a Black woman. So if you don't even believe in procreating Black women, then I'm sorry, like, I can't take any of your political advice seriously, because to me it starts in like the family. It starts in like the most basic things, which would be your community. Families are made up of communities. Communities are made up of larger, you know what I mean? And the thing is, in order for there to be a community to advocate for, that community has to be in existence. And in order for that community to be in existence and continue, Black men and Black women have to come together. So like, to me, the very nature of somebody saying, oh, I'm swirling as a way to try to liberate Black folks, it's like, that makes literally no sense, because you're not even, at that point, you're not even actively invested in ensuring that your community still remains in existence. And that to me completely dismantles the whole argument. Not to mention what she said, it's been tested and tried for hundreds of years now, and it's never worked. And more importantly, what we're finding out is she strictly wants the goodies from a white society. This is what she said. She said she wants assets, she wants land. Basically, she wants the high value white man that has the money, the status, and the power in America. That's what she wants. That's what she wants. The problem is those white men collectively are not going out of their way looking for black women. They are not going out of their way looking for charity cases, because I want you to recognize this entire idea, all it can do is benefit black women. It has everything to do to benefit black women. How does a white man benefit from this though? Let's say she's able to successfully secure a high value white man that has assets, that has land ownership, and has all of these things, generational wealth, which we already know how generational wealth came about in America, and it usually was through bloodshed, but that's another conversation for another day. A lot of generational wealth in America was actually received off of the backs of your ancestors. So like that's who you want to marry into. But anyways, that's besides the point. Let's say you're marrying into generational wealth. Well, what is he getting out of it? You're not bringing any wealth. You're not bringing any assets. You're bringing trauma. You're bringing your own cultural, emotional trauma. What does he have to gain from it? So this whole idea, all it can do is benefit black women. Like, it can't even benefit the white man anyways, which is why I'm just like, okay, this is not a really good sell. First of all, you don't even believe in procreating black women. So I don't care how pro-black woman you are. If you actually don't believe in procreating black women, black little girls who become black women, I can't take any of your political advice seriously. Secondly, how does this benefit white people? How does this benefit white men? What do they get from marrying someone of a lower socioeconomic status, marrying someone with less wealth, with less understanding of generational wealth, with less understanding of how to even manage assets? How does he benefit from that? It's a hard sell. Is it just like, oh, because my beautiful ebony goddess skin? That's not a really good, because Black Lives Matter. It's not a really good sell, in my opinion.
Now, you guys know I'm also down for the matriarchy, and I think we should be only focusing on the top 10% of men. And so I think as women, especially as Black women, we have to think like, how can we express our femininity in ways that attract this top percentile of men? And how can we put ourselves in rooms and have hobbies and interests and experiences in life that give us access to these men? Because you having a life insurance policy on a top 10% man, and that person dying and passing down their wealth to you, and you being able to ascertain land and give back to universities and become a philanthropist and do repair, is what could happen in one generation if we put our minds to it. And while I think the Black race as a whole can experience its own life and vitality, I think us as Black women have to think more strategically about who we're partnering with and not be married to this idea that pro-Black nation is the only way. And if you guys have any studies or statistics that support this idea that white men and Black women in America actually make the strongest union, feel free to put those in the comments.
Okay, so you know what's also interesting is she's advocating for Black women marrying upper class or wealthy white men. And she's completely overlooking the fact that there are Black men who not only have that, who exist in her community, and who are far more likely to want to marry Black women. Now, are there as many wealthy Black men in America as white men? No. I mean, first of all, we're a minority, so that goes without saying. And there's not the generational wealth passed down like it was in white America. Even if you understand the Homestead Act alone and the amount of land that white Americans got for free, there's just no comparison. But nevertheless, there are still plenty of Black men who are in the upper middle class. Those men, more than any other race of men, are far more likely to actually want to marry Black women. Way more than white men. So to me, I think it would actually be a stronger case if you really wanted to secure someone of higher resources. You're actually going to be better off marrying a Black man, because Black men are the ones who are the most interested in being with Black women. Because white men have had access to Black women since literally the beginning of this nation. White men are the ones who created the anti-miscegenation laws. White men are the ones who maintain the laws. And white men have had access to Black women for the last 60 plus years or so, since Loving versus Virginia. And the interracial marriage rate has barely budged. If what she said is true, and white men are at the seat of power, if they hold the power, if what she is saying is true, while she's advocating for the matriarchy, which again doesn't make sense. You want to marry the patriarchy while being a matriarchy, again, doesn't make any sense. But if what she's saying is true, well, the most powerful men in America have access to any woman out there. If they wanted Black women collectively, they would have done it by now. So the reason it's not happening is because they're just not interested. They, like most men, prefer women of their own race. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But trying to convince otherwise and trying to pretend that this is really about saving the Black race, it's really not. This is about women trying to level up and get what they want. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I highly doubt that a black woman who marries into white generational wealth, and which most likely many of these families who have generational wealth are the descendants of slave owners. Let's just be honest. Not all of them, but many of them are. If you're talking about deep, multi-generational, many of them are descendants of slave owners. I find it hard to believe that you as a black woman are going to be marrying into a white family with a history of slave ownership, and they're going to want you to just all of a sudden give all this money to HBCUs in the black community to go back and repair. I highly doubt that. Unless that particular family has dealt with their own racism in some way and is actively showing that they are trying to repair, rebuild, or whatever, unless they've even shown, like, the likelihood of that is it's just so small. And then, like I said, there's a reason white men and black women are politically misaligned. There's a reason for that. So to me, this is swimming upstream. And if you're able to get there, shout out to you. But we've never seen this happen. Even the women who are already in that position, or those black women who are already married to white men, we don't collectively see them going and creating funds and creating movements to try to save the black community. A lot of them are just living their lives, taking cute photos on Instagram, and doing their thing. And truth be told, most black women, in my opinion, that's what they would do. Because hypergamy really, it's all about benefiting the woman anyways. It's not really about benefiting the community or the community. So we don't have to pretend like it's anything other than what it is, which is about women just trying to find ways to get money from men and resources from men in the best way possible. But anyways, yeah, that's what I have. What do y'all think about this whole thing? I find this kind of crazy, but this is what ladies believe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.